Hey there guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the rules of writing. You heard me correctly. With writing there are rules and then there are rules. The actual rules aren't so much content as they are grammar, spelling, punctuation, sentence structure, things like that. But even then, those aren't completely set in stone either. The rules, however, are more guidelines. They can feel more like actual laws because of the way people phrase them. Never use adverbs. When instead of never, it should be more stop and think about whether this adverb is really necessary in this situation. Because sometimes it isn't, but sometimes it is. I don't know how and I don't know when, but somewhere along the line, writing advice became synonymous with writing rules. Maybe because by calling them guidelines, new writers would ignore them, shrug them off and say, but they're just suggestions. But calling them outright rules sort of has the opposite effect, and new writers and experienced writers can turn around and get too focused on following these rules that it sort of hinders their progress, their creativity, and that's a really dangerous thing. No matter what writing advice you get, remember that it's just a guideline, a suggestion, and your task, your job as a writer is to figure out whether or not that writing advice is actually going to help you with the novel that you're writing. You need to figure out if it works for you. All writers are different. We have our own ideas, our writing styles, our own strengths, our own weaknesses. Writing advice might help one writer, but it won't help another. The rules shouldn't be blindly followed. You need to make sure that the advice that you're listening to is going to benefit you and the story that you're trying to tell. And even then, you need to ensure that you find a balance, because too much or too little is going to negatively affect your novel as well. Take show and tell, for example. Probably the most classic writing advice there is. People will often tout it as an actual rule that you need to follow. You must always show, never tell. But can you imagine a story filled with someone just showing you things? It's going to be 360 plus pages of purple prose. People are going to get bored because there's too much description, you're being long-winded. Flip to the other side of the spectrum. Too much telling isn't going to challenge a reader, it's going to bore them. They're going to think, well, why are you telling me this? I'm not stupid. Show and tell, like anything, is finding the right balance, using showing in the right way, for the right situations, for the right reasons, and using telling for others. And only you and a handful of beta readers are going to be able to figure that out. As a writer, you can bend and twist and break the rules as and when you need to in order to fit with the story that you're trying to tell, within reason. That being said, there are sort of some general rules that have a consensus of being actually helpful. None of them are really to do with writing though. It's more helpful hints, I guess, at how to improve your novel and your storytelling. Someone once said that if you take a piece of writing advice and it tells you to never or always do something, it's probably not very good writing advice. And while the advice itself is helpful, the way it's phrased and the way it's presented is not. New writers, old writers, experienced writers, whatever level you're at, we're always looking for advice on how to improve our craft. Apart from learning the skills of being a writer, you also need to learn to take everything at face value. Don't just blindly listen to someone or something telling you how to write your novel. Everything can be changed, everything can be twisted to fit your narrative, your style, your personality. So I guess the first rule of writing is that there are no rules of writing. Does that make sense? Yeah. Don't follow the rules. Make them work for you. Good thoughts and happy writing, everyone.